Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator 24. In the series of videos that I'm doing for the Airbus A400M, this is going to be another one in which I will tell you how to fly an RNP approach. RNP stands for Required Navigational Precision, and it is a type of approach which is flown using the GPS coordinates rather than any ground-based navigation device. When you talk about approaches, there are two types, a precision approach and a non-precision approach. ILS is a precision approach in which a ground-based navigation device is used, and in non-precision you have RNP or RNAV approaches and then VOR. So RNAV and RNP are actually interchangeable terms. RNAV stands for air navigation. When you are carrying out GPS navigation, it's actually RNAV. But when you talk about RNP, it is like an RNAV, but it emphasizes more on the precision of the GPS equipment the plane has. So the GPS equipment really has to be precise and should be picking up the good signals, because if it is not, then you might not be aligned with the runway. So today I will be doing the short flight from Lahore to Islamabad, and I will first of all select the approach. So let's go to this flight plan, go to the destination, and for Islamabad, let's select the arrival, and I will be selecting runway 28 right, as you can see. And instead of ILS or localizer, I will be picking up RNAV, and it is via ISRO. There is a point, and plus the star is Indy 1A. When I'm making this video, obviously I keep this thing in mind that the beginners will be watching it, but I assume that you guys know how to perform an ILS approach and landing. But if you're not really also familiar with ILS approach and landing, you can just go and watch that video. I will give you the link in the description. You can just watch that video, because if you know how to fly an ILS approach, you will be easily carrying out this RNP or RNAV approach. So now I have selected the runway. So instead of ILS, I've selected RNAV. And now once I'm near the top of descent, I'll just take you from there. As this is a short flight, so that's why we have to enter the approach information before the descent starts, because this is the top of climb, and soon I will reach the top of descent. So let's go over here to this approach option, and let's enter the wind. So for this flight, actually I'm using clear weather, because right now there is too much fog in Islamabad, so the visibility is really low. That's why I'll just pick up the weather from the simulator. So the wind is 230 degrees, 4 knots. So let's enter this over here. And the outside temperature is 8 degrees. Really cold nowadays in Pakistan. I just entered 48. Let me just correct this. And the QNH is 1016. Now for the barrow, for the minimums, you have to actually look at the approach plate. So I will go to this approach for 28 right, and I will open this RNP approach. Let me also change the settings of the tab. Now, if you look at this table over here, this is actually for the minimums, and this is actually an altitude at which you will hear the sound minimums, and you decide whether you want to proceed with the landing or not. There is one thing that you have to notice, that there is no radio option for this, because radio is required for more precise approaches like ILS, because the plane sends radio signals to the ground, and then it gives an altitude. So if the ground is uneven, then you cannot have a correct approach and landing. So in this kind of an approach, actually the GPS coordinates are used, and the plane knows that before 6 nautical miles before the runway, it has to be at 3,700 feet, and then 5 nautical miles at 3,400, so on and so forth. So as per this, the flight management guidance system actually determines the vertical descent towards the runway. So that's why you need barrow. So this is 2070 for this plane. And now if you will notice that there are two more things over here. One is LNAV, VNAV, another one is LNAV. So if you are carrying out lateral navigation and plus the vertical navigation with the autopilot, then you will go with this minimums. But if you are only doing the lateral navigation with the autopilot, and you are setting the vertical speed for the descent, then you will go with this minimums. The height of the runway for Islamabad International Airport is 1,750 feet above the sea level. And if you look at this is actually minimums. It should be between 320 feet to 700. So you can even get a higher minimums if you want. And if you're using LNAV, it will be between 430 feet to 1,300 feet. So you can even enter 3,070 over here. So another thing, intermediate fix is Renux, which is 10 nautical miles before the runway. So I will first go to this point, ISDO. I should be 6,000 feet and above. The maximum speed should be 220 knots or less. And then from here, I will go to this intermediate fix, which is Renux, 3,700 feet and above. So I will try to be at 3,700 feet. And over here, then I will then start the descent towards the runway using this approach option. So that's how I will fly this approach. The heading is 278 degrees, and that's it. So just make sure all this information is there. Entry out of range. I think it was an error for the wind. It's going to be a full flaps landing. Approach speed is 134 knots. These are the speeds at which you can have flaps. When I will activate approach below 10,000 feet, the plane will actually target for 199 knots, which is the green dot speed. You can still fly this plane without any flaps. But if you want to go below the speed, then no need to reduce the speed. Just start extending the flaps. So if you want to go to 165 knots, then extend the flaps to position 1, and the speed will stop here. If you want to go to this speed, then you have to, get flaps to position 2, and so on and so forth. So with full flaps, the plane will actually go to 134 knots. That's how I'm going to manage it. Now let's wait for the top of descent. I will start the descent, and once I'm here, ISDO, which is the initial approach fix, IAF, then I will just take you from there. Now the plane is near the initial approach fix, and you can see that soon it will be moving towards Renux. And at this point, 3,700 feet should be the altitude, and the speed should not be more than 210 knots. The speed is reducing, and the altitude is also good. So I can go to this option, performance, and then activate approach, confirm. You can see the vertical deviation is now positive. I am above the vertical profile because the speed is reducing. I can get the speed brakes, so that's how you control it. And now you can see the vertical speed will increase. So right now I will be actually obviously following this flight plan, and then once I'm at Renux, I can just extend the flaps to position 1 as well, disengage the parking brakes. Sorry, the speed brakes and not the parking brakes. And so I will be using this approach button to follow the vertical path as well. So I will be carrying out LNAV and VRAM. But let's say if I don't want to activate approach and I just want to land at the runway. So after this point, I can set the altitude to 1,750, and then I can start the descent. But it cannot be so much accurate. Then you have to multiply your speed with 5 to get the vertical speed. So just to save yourself from that, you can just activate approach, and the plane will follow it. That's it. So let's wait for it. Now let's adjust the altimeter as well. So it's QNH is 1016. I can activate approach. With this, you will see that this vertical deviation has started to appear. So this is just like the ILS indicator for the glide slope. When you're talking about RNP, the glide slope is known as the glide path. So this vertical deviation will tell you whether the plane is following the glide path or not, which is this path. That's it. Now I can further extend the flaps. As the approach is active, so the plane will automatically start to descend as soon as this vertical deviation indicator is in the middle. So Renix is 10 nautical miles before the runway, and IS-410, this is your final approach fix. So the plane is at 3,700 feet, and now as soon as I'm near this point, this vertical deviation indicator will start to move in the middle, and then the plane will automatically follow it. And IS-410 is like 6 nautical miles before the runway. Over here at the final approach fix, I will also lower the gears. Right now flaps in position 2, I can go to position 3. And the speed will further reduce. Now you can see this indicator has started to move. Here's the runway. .6 nautical miles away. IS-410. And now it will change to runway. Now 5.9 nautical miles away. I can lower the gears and extend full flaps. Now you will see that the autopilot is now following this vertical path, the glide path, and it will keep on following. Just right before the runway, I can also deactivate the autopilot. You have to arm the ground spoilers and plus auto brake set to medium. So everything is looking good so far. Clear weather, good visibility. Just remember this thing, that for the RNAV approach, you should have good RVR, which is runway visual range. At minimums, at least, you should be able to see the runway. If you cannot see it, then you have to abort the landing, or you have to go for a go around. But right now, everything is good. The lights are on. And it's constantly following it. 1,000 feet above the ground. Now just 500 feet above the ground, I can deactivate the autopilot. Just press this button 2 times. And now I can land the plane myself.
400.
So I will also try to keep this in the middle. If it goes down, I go down. If it goes up, I go up.
300. Minimum 200. 100.
It was not that accurate. Or maybe it is.
50. 40.
I was about to land at the ground.
30. 20.
Just perform a
10.
flare and retard. Just below 80 knots, I can deactivate the reverse thrust, and then the auto brakes will stop the plane. That's it. So that's how you perform an RNAV approach. So hopefully now in the future you will be able to do it. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section, or if you want to add anything to this video, the comment section is there for you. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Hope to see you soon.